Remember that time that High Evolutionary, the new big bad, came out and everybody completely forgot about the Living Tribunal and everything that they may have to offer? He's here. Let's take a look at him. Living Tribunal. What's he going to bring to the game? He's a 6/6, so mediocre stats on himself, but the ongoing effect is kind of a little unique, you know? You've got splitting your total power evenly among all the locations. So basically, you can just load stack and just kind of disperse. So the big thing I want known here on this card is, first off, number one, he was changed. He was a 6/4, now he's a 6/6. Number two, certain ongoings are going to affect how those numbers balance if it's ones that kind of spread outward, for example, like Mr. Fantastic and Omega Red. So some of this is not going to be consistently perfectly even all the time because of how the ongoing works with other ongoing effects. But it's still very cool because it makes Dr. Doom potentially seem less important, who has completely taken over the game. So I've got 5 different ways that we can use him. So let's dive into what the Living Tribunal is actually going to do. So of course, there's got to be a negative variation. So I took an ongoing approach with this one because I thought it would be a little bit more fun. It has the defense pieces it's going to look for, especially in the current meta, with being able to steal 2 different ways Luke Cage, who you will see is not in any of these decks, on purpose, because we need to know how to counter the High Evolutionary in other ways. And that's only because it's right now and it's the new shiny toy. So I'm just reminding everyone, we're going to move past it. So let's take a look at different ways that we can do that. So with the NegaTribunal, we're trying to get out as many cards early into the negative side. So you have the Zabu out there and the Psylocke in there to get the Mr. Negative out early, but everything that flips is still going to be playable within the curve, whether you're getting the magic out early or you're playing even Warpath as a 5-drop who's got a very strong ongoing on top of it. The Onslaught and the Living Tribunal are the 2 big plays to reinforce wherever you have put all your power. So taking a slightly negative approach, I thought was going to be a little bit fun because I like the idea of what Tribunal brings. And the biggest synergy I originally thought back when he was a 6/4 was to play him in a Mr. Negative deck. So having to tweak that given the current metas just a tad by playing some of these higher cards like Omega Red and Warpath, I do think that there is potential here. So we had to switch it a little bit from what I was originally thinking about, but I do think Mr. Negative is going to still work very well with the Living Tribunal. Going into a Hela discard effect, this one seems a boatload of fun. It's pretty simple. You've got Invisible Woman, hide behind it, play a whole bunch of discard cards, and play a whole bunch of big, bad, beefy cards. But the big one in here I wanted to point out was Arnim Zola, which a lot of people forget how good Arnim Zola can be on that final reveal, because imagine Arnim Zola hitting Giganto, Infinite, or Death. You've basically got a 2-for-1. Even better if it hits Iron Man. So try the Arnim Zola mix in with Hela every now and then, because I think that this version could bring a lot of benefit if it hits that double Iron Man or gets that Hela to maybe pop off twice just for fun if you happen to hit Hellcow, or there's so many different ways in which this could double ramp and then put the Tribunal on top of it to take all of that extra power and spread it out. I think Arnim Zola, even though as a 6/0, knowing the benefit that it's going to double almost anything else better than itself, it has a tremendous amount of good targets, and I think it's a very strong play in this Hela deck. Living Big and Bad is basically taking a couple of big bads and putting them together, because the Living Tribunal was almost the big bad instead of High Evolutionary. So I wanted to pay tribute to that. And we made a Lockjaw variation that takes a lot of the negative reinforcement that Abomination can capitalize on from Spider-Woman, Wasp, as well as the Soul Stone. Then you've got some good ongoings that Thanos' stones, as they rotate into Lockjaw, could potentially capitalize on as well. You've got Iron Man, Claw, and Hulk that could be reinforced as a double drop. There's a lot of strong cards here that get a lot of beef up, and then the Tribunal, if it can get rotated out early, this is one of the variations that is not going to need magic, because one of the crippling pieces about the High Evolutionary is that it does need some kind of ramp. I don't see a lot of success with Living Tribunal unless if there's another way to get it out other than playing it on turn 6. So we're manipulating that with Lockjaw, with magic, having extra turns on the final. That's kind of how we have to play into this style of ongoing, because it is a very strong effect, but there's only so much you can do in turns 1 through 5, which is why in all of the other decks, we're trying to pull it out, whether it be a magic, whether it be bringing it back via something like Hela, or in this case, we try to pop it out early with Lockjaw. Tribunal Forever, you see magic's there for the exact same reason. It is a on reveal variation. So we had a very heavy ongoing variation. Now we have a very heavy on reveal variation. It's a lot of Black Panther and a lot of big cards we're trying to get out early and duplicate as possible. And I put Ghost in here. I know Bootman is screaming in happiness somewhere. I decided to put Ghost in here because I wanted to make sure that we had the option of going last towards those final 2 turns, that they can't take away if we decide to play Tribunal on that final turn. They can't just go ahead and predict it because it's the current ongoing card that everybody's hot over because it's the new shiny toy. I wanted to kind of tweak that ability just a tad, so I put Ghost in there. We're going to see if Ghost works. Otherwise, because of how this deck works, it could also be substituted out with Ebony Maw, even Iceman, Scorpion, a couple of different cards that double synergize with Wong. If you even wanted to go Mystique, maybe even think about going that route. Iron Lad is in here as well because there's a lot of positive effects I would not mind getting out early, and Zabu's in here because we have the 3/4 drops. Okoye is constantly slept on, especially with a Black Panther deck. It's kind of what they're built for. So I put her in here because, again, more reasons for that Living Tribunal to take all that extra power and spread it out into multiple different locations. So I thought the Tribunal Forever is just another variation. I don't know if it's a better variation yet, and I want you all to let me know down in the comments what works or what doesn't work for you in all of these decks. But this one in particular, I think, has an incredibly high ceiling, as we've been seeing a rise again of the Black Panther, Wong, Odin. I even thought about White Tiger in this deck to style of synergy. So I'd like to see what you all have to say about it down below also. The last one is kind of a Living Tribunal backup plan. It's building a death deck, so I'm calling it the Dead Tribunal, but one small variation. We're trying to get Tribunal out via magic as a final turn oomph, final turn swing play. You get the magic down, let it all disperse out, put down the null as they probably project in some way on turn 6, or play down the Living Tribunal on turn 6, and then go big with null and death on turn 7, and then it spreads everything outward depending on where you need your power. So I wanted to take a death approach on this because I think between null and Living Tribunal, it also prevents being single targeted with something either like a rogue or an enchantress, etc. I wanted to spread that idea out because I love this style of deck and it's a very fun style of deck to play. I tried so many different variations looking at, Zola and Nimrod, and even Angel made an appearance in the original construction of this deck. But it all comes down to needing to have as many kill cards as possible and many benefits as possible for null, which is what led me to this final variation for the Dead Tribunal. So once again, the 5 decks in total are the NegaTribunal, Hela Tribunal, Living Big and Bad, Tribunal Forever, and the Dead Tribunal. Which one of these was your favorite? If you liked any of them, please hit that button down below and say thank you to all of those who have also repeated the same process. I thank you, everybody, for watching once again here as we have another deck video for the new card coming to the game, the Living Tribunal. Will you be getting the Living Tribunal? Let me know on one of our live streams over on Twitch. I'll see y'all there.